Welcome back. Well, joining me to talk about Khan, especially within the northern part of Nigeria, is the chairman of the 19 states in the north, Khan chairman, and is the person of Reverend Joseph John Hayab. You're welcome to the desk.
Thank you for having me, and viewers, good to meet you here.
All right, so Reverend, there are a lot of issues that are begging for answers. But let's begin from the top of the conversation by first telling you congratulations on your election as the new chairman of Khan, even in the northern region.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure, and thank you for all the support and good wishes I've been receiving since the election.
All right. So, Reverend, we observed that there was more of a space in terms of leadership vacuum in the northern Khan, especially of 2 years. You want to share this with us on how you were able to handle this, manage this, and where we are right now, and how you emerge as the chairman of Khan, even within the North.
Thank you very much. The Northern Christian, or the Northern Khan, is a coming together of all the leadership of Khan in the 19 northern states and Abuja to share common interests and to also discuss issues that affect all of us. It's just like you have in government, the Northern Governors Forum. Interestingly for our viewers, Northern Khan actually started in 1964 during the first regime when Ambassador Julie Tanko Yusuf and others were serving in the then government of the Premier Northern region. So due to the challenges and the situation they find themselves, they encourage churches to come together because churches cannot confront government about issues that affect them individually. They need to come together. So it took even the nation 12 years before Khan came into existence. The fact of it is that the Khan today we are hearing about came into the existence in 1976 when General Murtala Mohammed was assassinated, and so Obasanjo was reaching out to stakeholders across the country to discuss with them. That means 1964 to 1976, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
So it was at that one of those meetings that the president invited religious leaders, Christian leaders. Most of the then bishops of the different denominations we had were in Lagos. So they were invited to the meeting. And in the meeting, there was no opening prayer. They just had a meeting. And when they were about to go, some of the bishops now say, wait, we can't come here to see our president in this situation, and we do not pray for him. And so the then Chief of General Staff, General Shehu Yaradua, responded sarcastically and said, look, actually we didn't ask you to pray because we don't know whether you're going to say a Catholic prayer or a Methodist prayer or an Anglican prayer or a Pentecostal prayer. So we wanted to avoid that. And they felt really insulted with that word. And so they all gathered themselves to one of the nearest church to Dodam Barak and decided that from today, we have an association called the Christian Association of Nigeria. So already they not had an association, so they just matched them and we move on. And Archbishop Ekadem then became the first chairman. So Northern Khan has actually been there speaking for the voiceless, standing for justice, ensuring that every citizen, the right of every citizen is protected, especially religious right. And so this is what we've been doing. Unfortunately, something happened in the last 2 years, 9 months, because the leadership that just were removed for me to come in were elected first into 2016. At that time, I was part of the leadership. I was elected the public relations officer. After 3 years, that is on 4th of May, 2019, we had a re-election because we've served our first 3 years. So the then vice chairman had served first time before we came, so he couldn't continue. So I became vice chairman from 2019, which shows that by the 4th of May 2022, we're supposed to have existed. Unfortunately, some of my colleagues chose to do what politicians are used to doing, sitting put. There was no election, there was nothing. They keep giving excuses. We are going to write constitution, we are going to write this and that. And so leaders were beginning to be tired. And you know, because of the changes of leaders in states, not many of the newcomers knew exactly when, until some stakeholders who were involved, especially lawyers who conducted the elections and other priests, say, wait a minute, where is our integrity if we can sit put like this for 2 years, 9 months after our tenure has expired? So a meeting was called, and when evidence were glaring, newspapers evidence and every other evidence with people who were there live and direct. A motion was moved for the dissolution of the old house. An election was conducted. My humble self was chosen to continue from where they stopped with a clear mandate that we must run in accordance with the Constitution of Can, where you have just a single time of 5 years. I think that's just what we know, and for us, it's an opportunity, or it's a challenge for us to come and give Christians representation, and that's what I want to do. Other issues, I'm not interested in them than just giving Christians a quality representation, ensuring that people know there are Christians in this country, there are Christians in northern Nigeria, and they are citizens and their right must and should be respected.
All right, so Reverend, let's even get back to the conversation. I haven't been enlightened by what you've said so far. Looking at Reverend Yakubu Pam and some of the way he was removed from office, some youths within the CAN have felt dissatisfied, and they've come out to come up with a press conference. So I want to find out, is CAN also, the Northern CAN, in approval to this particular statement?
Well, the simple truth about this, I really don't think I will have the energy for this kind of conversation, but for purposes of education and clarity, Musa Misal is the youth leader for the Northern CAN at the moment. I think in the desperation of just two individuals, actually, not even the ESCO, to ensure that they remain and remain relevant, they now wrote a press statement and asked him to sign and give out. He quickly reached out to us and said he was not going to do that, and he did not do that. But shortly, an hour or so, we got a link that it has been released. The question now is that who gave that press release? All we can do is to ask Musa, are you the one who gave the release? Musa said no. If you are not, then issue a refutal. And that's just what Musa have done, to say, I never issued the best. I like the way he put it. I was contacted. They wrote it and gave me, and I said no. And he used very strong word, and I wish those who are working and doing these dirty deals will learn. He said, there is judgment. You know, we shouldn't be doing what politicians are doing. Please, let's talk about the church. How do we do and make progress, than talk about what people do outside there? There are people who probably by nature and habit like controversy, and they want to maintain that. But for us, we simply want to represent the church. We simply want to stand with the church. We simply want to continue to shine that light of Christ. And we simply want the world to know that there are Christians in here or in this land called Northern Nigeria.
Well, Reverend Hayab, to a very large extent, we saw your antecedents in Kaduna State when you were the chairman of CAN in Kaduna State. You want to talk about, now what most people will be wondering, people that have not seen you, they've not heard about you. At this point, they are clamoring that will CAN in the northern state be liberated? Would they be able to discharge their primary functions and responsibility? People that have not seen you, but of course, we've been following your antecedents even in Kaduna State. So I want to ask you and put you on the spot even on this table. Are we expected to see a replica of what you did in Kaduna by expanding that in the northern state, by ensuring that advocacy and justice and also the rights of Christians are also being upheld in all quarters? Is that we're expecting to see others a different agenda that you're running with, even with this particular administration that's going to last for 5 years?
Well, let me put it this way. I want to believe that my antecedent gave credence to why I was nominated and given the overwhelming support. I think my colleagues, stakeholders, or Christians of Northern Nigeria know that I, Reverend Joseph John Hayab, will stand for yea, yea, and no, no. I think that's just simple, and that's what the Bible asks us to do. I've received a lot of congratulatory messages, and those words are so heavy. People making reference to what you are saying, that look, we've known you, we've tested you. I've been around for a very long time.
We know you've been around for a while, so that's
I think
curious.
If I had failed in my first coming between 2003 to 2010, I wouldn't have been asked to come back in 2019 to continue. So I think I showed dedication and good spirit in what I did from 2003 to 2010. And when I went off I was asked again to come back in 2019. And I thought I was even out because for me and my family, we really didn't want to come back to do anything can. But when my colleague said, no, brother, you know this job, you understand this job, we've been tested, you can represent us. I only humbly say, here I am, sent me. So I just pledged to say to the Christians in Northern Nigeria that you have in me a dependable representative, you have in me a worthy spokesperson, you have in me a worthy and a sincere defender. I will not, because of stomach infrastructure or because of selfishness, compromise what is true for what is not true. I am not going to carry gun against anybody. I simply want to remind people that, look, what is the Constitution of Nigeria saying about being a Nigerian? Ensure the right of everybody is protected. Don't forget, unless and until we support religious freedom in this country, we will not make any progress. The reason why we are not making progress is because we've allowed nepotism, we've allowed sectionalism, we've allowed selfishness. The fact that we have an expert who can do things for us, we don't allow him to do. Our interest is what is his name, where does he come from, what is his religion. I've always asked people to tell me this: who among us will go to the airport and want to fly? Let's say just fly to Lagos, and there is a plane on ground, but there is no pilot. And he's told that, look, there's a plane on ground that can fly you to Lagos, but there's no pilot. But there is one imam or there's one pastor who is here, since he's a pastor or an imam, is a religious person, he can fly you. Nobody is going to board that flight. But once you just say, no, there's a pilot. You know, a pilot is a trained person to fly a plane. Not an imam, not a pastor, not a religious or not a sectional person. That's why we do fly out of this country. Some flight are 14 hours or more. You have confidence in the pilot. You don't even know the name of the pilot. You don't know the tribe of the pilot, but you have confidence. The trouble with Nigeria is that we don't allow the right pilot to drive us. We want our tribal man, our religious man, our regional man. And so that's where, and sometimes when leaders begin to violate those things, they need someone to remind them and say, wait a minute. In this country, everybody is equal. In this country, everybody enjoys the same cover and protection under the law. In this country, everybody enjoys the same privilege under the law. So the most important thing is, let's go for the best than every day talking about the thing. So our primary role will be help those in power or those who are in privilege of office at this hour to always remember that if we don't unite, if we don't carry everybody along, if we despise others, we are not doing our country any good service.
Reverend Hayab, to a very large extent, we've seen Nigerian politicians enjoy some form of immunity. And we've seen that of Khan also enjoy some form of immunity in terms of the fact that both religious bodies, NGOs, and CSOs pay lip service to accountability, even within that sector. I have not seen Khan to a very large extent. Neither have we seen PFN or other Christian bodies coming out to give accountable structures of what they've done and what they are doing, even at the point of handing over offices to the next administration. So let me put you again on the spot. You have been in this the system of regulating the Christian activities even in Nigeria, and by focus even in the north. Are we expecting to see more accountable structures even in as you begin to manage and control and begin to direct the affairs of northern Christians at this point in time?
Okay, before we get carried away and think that leadership of Khan is one big man versus a lower man, no. The leadership of Khan is first among equal. We are all Christians, we are all brethren, we are all friends, we are all people who are seeking for God. But you know, in a situation that we have, we need to have someone who represents us, someone who speaks for us. And that's why leadership comes into play. So in our leadership, it is not about dominating, it is not about arrogating to ourselves powers that we don't have. It's about giving people that worthy and godly representation. In my acceptance speech, one of the key things I say I want to do is service, integrity in service. You know, we have to, as Christian leaders or as religious leaders, be found honest and transparent in the way we do things. The few offices I've held in Khan, those who remember will know that before I leave, I gave thorough account of what were the assets, what did we do, what were we not able to do? And so I have known those things, and I'm not doing it for any reason. My conviction is that one day I may not be in this world, and when my name is mentioned, or my children's name is mentioned, and someone will ask them, are you children of that Reverend Hayab, that pastor in Kaduna? And they will say, yes, I forgot about him. He cheated us. I have not done good service to my children. I want to give myself and my children a good name. So the best I'll do. And that's why the kind of joy and celebration that is going on about this election itself is making me humble. That people feel, no, you are the right person. No, you've done it. We've tested you. We believe in you. So all I will do now is to go back and pray and say, God, let me not fail these people. Let me not disappoint these people. Let me not do what. But as you rightly say, we have situation where there are failures in other quarters, but it is not because the association approves it. It is probably individual difference. Some people, even in the things of God, they still want to be carnal. And so, since we are not here to judge and condemn people, we bear with them, but we remind them and say, look, everything, the Bible says, you are stewards, and every steward is, what is expected for a steward is for him to be found faithful. So I'm a steward, and what I believe God is expecting of me is, let me be found faithful. Faithful in representation, faithful in managing if there are resources, faithful in ensuring that whatever needs to be done is done and done correctly. We must show this example as a way of discipline. Probably I grew up in a military in a barracks. My father served in the army during the war. So I learned this discipline of time. I don't believe in doing things the way people do, unless it becomes what you cannot help. I learned this discipline of ensuring that you keep record. In my life, I have notebooks like this in hundreds, because every day I'm keeping record. Where did I go? Who do I meet? What did we agree? Because I just want to be that disciplined in life. And I want to bring it into the kind of work I do to help make a difference. In our community, and especially in Africa, we've so much abused so many things, hiding under culture, and the culture really didn't say so. Sometimes hiding under religion, and the religion do not also teach so. So where do we get all those things? As a Christian leader, I will do my best to remind my colleagues that, look, let's show the people the right thing. Let's also be seen doing the right thing, because if you want to show people do the right thing, then do the right thing. When you do the right thing, they will see it, and they will copy it. It may not be long. They will stop doing those things you are thinking, the lack of accountability. What moral? Okay, the first conversation was about leadership that stays 2 years, 9 months, 5 days above their tenure. No, it's a shame. I don't even see myself trying that. And I promised them on the day of election that, look, I was elected on the 25th of February, 2025. On the 25th of February, 2030, or even earlier than that day, there must be an election for a worthy successor or a successor. There shouldn't be. You know, sometimes we act and forget that people are watching. If you do this and you think you are smart, people are watching. No wonder we have queried politicians, we have shouted on them, we have abused them, we have complained against them, we have said they are doing this, they are doing that. They don't feel anything because we're doing worst. So if we want them to really take us serious, let's show the example.
Reverend, just on a final note, because I've been told right now that our time is fast spent, even at the moment. Let's talk about the unity of the Christian faith, especially within the northern part of Nigeria. There tends to be a lot of division, even in this space. I might be wrong, of course, I'm a journalist, but you have been in this space for a while. There tends to be a division, even among the Christian faithfuls in the north. 19 states across the north. How will your administration, you piloting the aim of affairs, even in as a Khan chairman, some people call it the chairman of chairmen.
That's right.
So how will you be able to ameliorate the situation and be able to guarantee that we have more unity even in the body of Christ, especially in the north?
Yeah, I do agree that there are situations where you see us acting and behaving as if we are divided. But the truth about it is that if you are in our shoe, you know the pains we go through, you know the difficulty our people are facing. Some of those divisions are deliberately created. I'll give you an example. In a situation where a system of government or a system of power deliberately impoverish exclusively people who belong to a certain identity. And then they come to that identity and pick few individuals and start to favor them. And they favor them to the detriment of the larger society. And then those few individuals who can see injustice, but they are not strong, courageous enough to speak against injustice because their mouth has been shut. So when others start querying them, questioning them and say, this is not fair, then you assume it is division. It's not division. It is about the way we are being treated. The fact is that if we will get 25 to 30% privileges as it is expected of us as in this country, we will make this country and the northern Nigeria a wonderful place. We have people who understand that, but larger people, when they come into power, the moment they come, the first thing is that the enfranchised Christians make sure that their economic strength is weakened, make sure their economic opportunity. We don't want to be talking about this, but do you know that even common admission, you can go to a school in northern Nigeria to seek admission with all your scores. They will tell you are not qualified to be given that particular course. Imagine someone with 280 is asked to read chemistry, but someone with 195 or 210 is asked to read medicine in the same school. Tell me, when you start complaining, they assume it's division. It's not division, it's frustrations and pains. But we will do our best because people are changing now. New leaders are coming. In Kaduna State, we have an example. We had a leader in the past who believed nobody had the voice and insists that no one. But gradually, time came and he left. Someone is coming and extending olive branch. So God will always send somebody one day to change situation. That's why we're not out for any confrontation. We're simply out to remind ourselves that this is our country. And the country has a constitution. And the constitution gives every citizen equal right.
So is there a time frame for us to begin to mark your administration and its some of its policies and manifest? I don't want to use manifesto, God-given vision.
Thank you.
To that, is there a time frame?
Yeah, I believe that we are not going to waste time. We have already set the ball rolling. Within the next few weeks and months, you are going to see many of the things we are going to unveil. Most of our leaders actually left immediately after the election to Israel for holy pilgrimage. So we are just praying along with them for safe return. So the moment they come back, you will see us, you will hear us. We're going to, Easter is around the corner. We have a lot of things to do to show what this season is all about and what it means to us as Christians.
Well, Reverend Joseph Hayab, it's a very good time to have you, and of course there are a lot of conversations that we will still continue.
Thank you.
On this table. I want to say thank you so much for being a part
Thank you too for having me
this evening. Well, this is how far we can go even this evening. Well, do remember that you can follow us on our various social media to join in the conversation. And also you can download the Global Television app using the Android and iOS devices. All you need to do is to search for Global Television Nigeria. And of course, you will be watching us in anywhere across the world. Don't forget, you can also join us on our various social media handle on Global TV NG. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. I am Godwin Sunday. Up next is News Cycle. Bye for now.